This is a production of ITM Media. Hey everyone, Matt Beamer here with Preston Lude within the Marbles Weekly Racing Podcast, getting you caught up and wrapped up for Darlington Throwback Weekend. It was a fun weekend. Glad to be back at the track. A lot of fun. Preston, how you doing, man? You still recovering?
I am so exhausted.
I am too, man. I went to bed. I came home. Well, first, let's say this. Before we get into how we enjoyed the track, it was good to be back at the track. You know,
it was
great to be back at the track. It was great meeting new friends, old friends, and seeing people attend their first NASCAR race. We saw 3 people in our group attend their first NASCAR race.
Yeah, we did.
They learned a lot.
They did. They had questions during the race.
Which I'm glad you were there because I sat up high. We sat in the same section.
Yeah. But
I sat way up high and clicked off photos all race.
Well, Brandon was like, he goes, Matt's in the same section. I said, yeah. He goes, well, he doesn't want to sit down here with us. I said, did you see the camera and the camera lens that he pulled out? Yeah, no.
Well, it was nice because if those of you who don't know me and those of you who are new to my type of fan interaction with it, I spend 90%, maybe 80 to 90% of the race looking through a camera lens. That's my passion at NASCAR races. I like taking photographs. If I could do anything in the sport, it wouldn't be commentary. It wouldn't be broadcasting. It'd just be taking photos.
You wouldn't want to call a race on the radio?
I wouldn't mind doing that. But my real passion is standing behind the lens and capturing the moment, capturing what I feel at every race I go to, at least personally, my history of the sport. Mm-hmm. And I've caught a lot of spectacular photos with my camera. 2020 Daytona 500 comes to mind with the Ryan Newman crash. That spectacular photo I caught, the series of photos. You know, I just enjoy taking photos. That's my thing. Everybody has their thing to do at races. Some is drinking.
Yeah.
Some is just walking around. Some is throwing the middle finger to every driver whatsoever that their T-shirt isn't wearing. My passion is sitting up there, whether it's in the grandstands or wherever I am on the track, and taking photos, lugging around the camera, taking photos. That's what I like to do. That's what I want to ultimately do. That's why I got media credentials and passes and trying to get credentials in order to take photos and potentially sell them one day. I don't know to whom. I'm kind of taking the Brian Stone route. He's a bit further ahead than I am.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
But I'm trying to do that and network and do that because that's ultimately what I want to do is take photos. That's what I enjoy doing. So... And that's so funny because I got a new camera and you saw the setup. It was a whole new toy compared to the little camera I had at the Roval. This one is a little more beefier. And I learned a lot. And then when I got home, I realized I didn't do some things and I looked up how to do it. It's like, if I would have just flipped this one switch, it would have been better. I learned a lot, but I got some good photos on there. Go over to Click a Snap or our Twitter or Twitter pages at ITM Media or in the Marbles, and you'll see those photos come up, and you get to see them. It's on Click a Snap, very cool website that I post my photos up for everybody to see. Everybody tends to like them, but I'm competing against girls in bikinis and dogs, so it's not the best competition for race cars. I'm losing in that category too. I'm picking my battles poorly here.
Yeah, that's okay. You're learning,
but I'm having fun doing it. But we had a great time at the race. It was great to be back, seeing fans at the track, seeing everybody there. There was a lot of people there. A lot more than the Southern 500 last year, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual percentage capacity wise, but the parking lot was decently.
It was full, but it took after the race we waited an hour to leave, which is about standard, and then got in our car. I don't know about you guys. I didn't hit any traffic. The only time I stopped was in Florence at a McDonald's.
Nope, we didn't hit any traffic at all on the way out. We just took a couple of back roads out to the interstate, and that was it.
Yep, that was it. I actually hopped on 20. We probably went the same way. I hopped on 20, then 95.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went the same way, but it was a great time. It was a great race, and it's totally different being there at the race. If I would have watched that race on TV, I probably would have been 95% of the fans on Twitter and Facebook talking about the race.
Right.
But I think the fact that I was there made it so much more fun.
Well, I can already, now that you say that, people talking about it on Twitter like that, I think I can understand. I could probably attest to why they probably are upset and why they would say that when we get into the race, when we get to that point. But I'll explain it when we get to that point, because I think I can figure out why.
I got a nice Matt DiBenedetto hat.
You did. That's nice.
It's very nice. I like the Wood Brothers hat. This is kind of a throwback hat with the colors.
It was kind of nice to have some of those merchandise haulers there, but it's like still kind of in times of COVID, so there wasn't really a whole lot
to do. And I think that's going to get better towards the end of the year. I think next year or this year when we go back for the Southern 500,
it'll be at full capacity.
We're going to be full capacity. We're going to probably see, I hope to see, because I was telling, who was there? I mean, Josh was there. It was Josh,
Jordan, Austin was a new one.
Okay, so those three I want to talk about. Josh, Jordan, and Austin were the three fans that were their first time, or three people first time at the race. And I think they're fans now. And I'm glad they went in there with open minds. I'm glad they went in there with, I don't know anything about this, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Instead of, this is just a bunch of dumb rednecks driving in circles. This is boring. I'm glad they went in there with open minds, and they all three seemed to enjoy it. And I'm glad they went there with us. I'm glad we got to experience that with them, and we got video interviews with them. We're going to put together, and that's only going to get better. And I got to say this up front too. We were going to throw up the flags. Timing was an issue, and I forgot my stake poles. It didn't work out. September, we're going to go there all day. Worry not.
Yeah, so, we can explain. It's just, like I said, the way the COVID times have worked out. First, the track said, hey, we're going to open the parking lot at 12:30.
Right.
Well, my brother and everybody else got there at like 11. They're like, hey, the parking lot is wide open. Okay, wow. Thanks, Darlington, for that one, for lying to us all. The parking lot was open.
That was a little bit deceptive.
Yeah, so we got there, I don't know, we got there about 12:30?
12:30, 1 o'clock. By that time, you're already gearing up to go into the track.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of time at all.
Last-minute souvenir shopping. I got a nice clear backpack, which is way better than the shoulder bag for the scanners. I throw everything in there now. It's perfect. Camera, scanner, sunscreen, everything. And I didn't bring food. That's a mess up on my part, but it's neither here and there. But, and then I got my tickets. But it was not timing was an issue for us because like you said, I thought the track was going to open way later than it was.
Yeah.
So I went to church. I figured, I got time to go to the race. I'm going to go to church. And went to the early service, got home, packed up, came to your house, picked you up. And we got there and we parked completely opposite of them. It was just the logistics were bad.
Yeah, it was things were just off, but it was just weird.
I think September we're going to have all of our ducks in a row. It's such a learning curve, not just for the podcast, but logistics of producing a show out in the field. You take it for granted looking at how seamless it is there, but there's so many people behind the scenes and it's just us two.
Yeah, it was just the whole...
It's seamless behind the scenes.
It seemed like you didn't... Like you said, it felt like we didn't have enough time because by the time we got the stuff out and we took the cooler over to where everybody else was at, and of course we went back for that box as well. We get back and it's already like 2 o'clock. Yeah. So we're like, hey, let's go see if there's anything cool to check out, see anything to buy. We get down there. By the time we come back, it's time to go back into the track already. I mean, there's no time to do anything. Time.
We'll fix it in September. It was a lot of fun, but we do have this for our opening segment here. Top 5 things to do at your first race. Top 5 things to keep in mind if you're going to your first race. It doesn't have to be Darlington, but it could be Dover, Circuit of the Americas, I dare say any sporting event, motorsports.
Yes.
That's especially a day race. Because this was my first day race since I can't even remember.
Well,
Pocono.
Oh.
Pocono. I mean, my first legitimate day race where they had to finish in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Where I was sitting in that hot sun all day and grandstand. So it's been a number of years for me because I'm used to going to Darlington, Roval. It's sun setting. So my first tip is don't buy tickets from anyone or anywhere else but the track.
Yeah, that's a big one.
We almost ran into a hiccup there where I think it was
Josh and Jordan.
They
went on a whim. I heard they decided to go at the last minute, so that's why they were there.
Right.
They were there that day, so I guess they must have bought tickets from a.
And you can't trust those people.
No,
don't trust them because they almost
one ticket worked and one didn't.
Ticket worked and
I was
didn't.
Like, oh, they'll let them in.
They let them in, and it was fine. I'm not going to say who because I don't know who for one, but they let them in, and it was okay. Everything worked out, but it doesn't always work out like that.
No, it does not. They got lucky.
They got very lucky. So buy your tickets from the track. Yes. I always call the track. I don't go through Ticketmaster if I can help it. I call the track, say I want 2 tickets or how many tickets for this race in this section, preferably. Number 2, this is a big one, and I think Jordan and Josh can attest to that, and Austin, and maybe you and
I put on sunscreen. I know this is sunscreen.
Yeah, this is sunscreen because at the end of the race, I mean, I'm up there standing up on top of the stands all day taking photos, and you know, there came a time where you put on sunscreen and you're not miserable the following day. Jordan, she's probably a little miserable right now. Josh is probably a little miserable right now. All part of the experience. I told them they're real rednecks now.
Well, what was funny was I put some more sunscreen on before we went into the track because my brother was like, oh yeah, I'm going to bring sunscreen into the track anyways. But I was like, you know what, I'll just put some on real quick. So like, you know, I did that, whatever. And then we get in there and I think his girlfriend was asking for some sunscreen and he goes, oh, hey, I forgot to put some sunscreen in there. But I think somebody had sunscreen. They just didn't know it.
I did.
You did.
I had sunscreen.
Oh, well,
see, here's the problem. Once you guys found your seats, you didn't see me. I just
you went straight to the top.
I'm up on top. I got my thing to do with my camera. And if any of you would have just came up, because I came down once and I gave Austin my headset. Like, here, listen to Truex. Mm-hmm. He picked Truex. Here, listen to him. This is a way new experience right here. And I wish, in hindsight, I would have known people were coming that didn't have a scanner. I would have brought my extra one, got in it programmed, and said, here you go, listen. This will open it up to a whole new world, which actually goes into number 3, get a scanner. Then after the race, talking to Josh and Jordan, and they said, you know, where were you? I said, I was up top. Mm-hmm. I was up top doing my thing the whole race, standing up the whole time. I got a 2-hour ride back. I'm not sitting. And they said, you're not sunburned. They're like, yeah, I had sunscreen up there.
Oh.
It's like, you had sunscreen the whole time? It's like, you didn't come up and say hey to me. Not once did you venture away from your little bubble. You just stayed down there, and I did my thing. I'm not a rookie at this. I walked all up and down. I was taking pictures all day. Nope, don't bother me. So they were kind of upset with me, but it's like, you can't blame me on that.
Yeah, so scanner is a good one, especially
that's
if
number
you've
3.
Never gone.
And you could rent scanners for, I think, $25 or $15 for the day, and they give you the headset and everything. And if you're not an avid fan and not knowing that this is a sport for you, you don't need something like I have. I have a Racing Electronics 3000, where it's an over-the-air programmable scanner, where I could just hit program, go, and just downloads everything, and I have everything right there. Don't have to go to Racing Electronics or anything. Just program it and go. It's the best scanner in the world if you go to multiple races a year.
Right.
If you go to 1 or 2 races a year, maybe 1 or 2 races every couple of years.
Yeah, the two I traded for a watch years ago.
Okay.
Some guy was like, hey, I'll trade you your watch. It was like a waterproof watch. It was red. He's like, I'll trade you a watch for 2 race scanners. I was like, what you mean? He said, here, I'll show you what they look like. And I said, done. Here. Because I knew exactly. I was like, oh, yeah, this watch is not worth as much as that right there. Those are worth a lot, right? They give me those things. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are basic. Those are from like the late 90s, I think, early 2000s. The headsets are still good, but it's just they're the small little ones. But I don't ever like to listen to the drivers, but the radio broadcast gives me a lot of, there's a lot that goes on. So like if you're a new fan and you get a scanner and you think that, oh, maybe following a certain driver is not doing it for you. If you listen to the radio broadcast, they're going to give you just about everything that's happening.
And they tell a lot of jokes afterwards. MRN does the best job ever.
Great job.
They should have the MRN radio broadcast over the TV broadcasters, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for that.
Especially during the commercials. Clear. And tell them the joke about the deodorant.
Oh, yeah.
The laughing gas.
Yeah, I can't remember who was saying it, but they were like, yeah, so-and-so used laughing gas as deodorant today, this morning at the hotel, and they were like, really? He said, yeah, he smelled funny all day long. That was a good one. That was a really good one.
They do stuff like that the whole time, and then you'll hear this random voice, mics are hot, and then silence.
And everybody's got to be quiet.
Welcome back to the Darlington Raceway. Martin Trux still pacing the field here.
Yeah, it's so funny. They'll just be like, hey, quick, favorite song from this certain band, and you'll just hear like Dave Moody just start singing for no reason. And it's
favorite Berlin song, Take My Breath Away. It is. It's really good. MRN, I'd say do that the whole time. Those guys do such a great job. Number 4, drink plenty of water. I'd like to drink beer just like the rest of the people. But I got 2 things going against me, especially yesterday at Darlington. 1, it was hot out.
Yes, it was.
And I'm baking under the sun. I need the water because I had a headache going home as it was. And 2, I'm going home as it is. I don't need to get a DUI.
Yeah, water is your best friend, and I have seen it firsthand. I mean, there was one time we were set up for a tailgate. It was probably like 10 or 15 of us, and there was this other group next to us, and they had a buddy who was passed out in a camping chair, and I mean, he was just like Matt, like this. He was just this, leaned back, and they were like, he's fine. Maybe we should just leave him here. We came back. He was still there after the race was over.
And so you just
passed out.
You know what you did? You wasted the day, man.
Yeah, he was passed out.
And I get it. I drank my my fair share of beers. Once I got there, what's the first thing I did? I cracked open a beer. And I drank one, and then I drank another, and then we went to walking around. I drank 2 more. And then we went to the track. I drank another one. So what? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the green flag started, no beer, water. The rest of the 3 hours, just sober yourself up and get ready to go home. And number 5. Why did I say number 6?
I don't know.
Number 5, the most important thing to do, or the top thing to consider before going to your first race, but any auto race, is go with people who've been there before.
Yes.
Jordan and Josh would have been totally lost, I feel, without us. Now, not saying that if you go there for the first time, you could ask probably anybody there because it's all about the fan interaction and the people there and within everybody just to have a good time. That nobody would help you. I don't think anybody would say, get away from me, you don't know what you're talking about or whatnot. Anybody would help you, but if you go there with a group of people you're comfortable with I keep using Josh and Jordan because those are the only couple. I should use Austin too, but people you have at least a friendship with, you're going to meet more people within that because we came. So we were like, oh, okay, we're part of the group now. So we would go and do stuff and, oh, yeah, do this, do that, do this. And Josh was calling me the Buddha of NASCAR. Well, he called me the Jesus of NASCAR. It's like, I'm not Jesus. Don't call me Jesus. He's like, how about the Buddha? It's like, you could call me Buddha. I don't believe in Buddha.
It's funny.
So I said, yeah, okay, I'll do this, do that. And then I said, I'm going up top. And I was expecting him to maybe come up there and, oh, okay, let me see this perspective. No, he stayed there in his little bubble.
Well, he was asking me a lot of questions because he was sitting next to me.
And which is great because they got the site. I wish they would have gotten a lot more. And they loved the race. They rated it all way better than I think a lot of people rated it because they don't have that skewed mindset of, oh, it was just pure for them. Right. That's the way it should be at every race, regardless if it's on TV or not. It was just like, that was awesome. The sights, the smells, the sounds. It was way louder than they expected, way much more fun than they expected. But that's my top 5 list on what you should do if you're going to your first race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or probably you could use that list if it's not even your first race, but for in my case, my 25th race. I did everything on that list.
Mm-hmm.
So just little tips.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with those.
But yeah, that was our opening thoughts. I enjoyed the weekend. It was a lot of fun. I wish I would have made all 3 races, but I only made it to 1. But one's better than none. I really enjoyed it. But anything else before we get into the news?
No, I don't think so.
All right, well, let's get into the news. All right, news. And this is a big one here. Following the Xfinity race, Noah Gragson finished 4th. Whoa, not so fast.
Not so fast.
Post-race inspection. Failed post-race inspection. Ended up finishing 40th. Junior Motorsports going to appeal that decision on the disqualification of Noah Gragson. Now, what exactly happened? Because I tried to look it up and heard it on MRN this morning, NASCAR radio this morning, and couldn't find anything.
Okay, what happened? Yeah, so in an article, it says that the 9 team violated Rule 20.14.c. That just all is meaningless to me in the NASCAR rulebook. And here's what the explanation is in the NASCAR rulebook.
Okay.
All suspension mounts and mounting hardware must not allow movement or realignment of any suspension and or drivetrain component beyond normal rotation or suspension and or drivetrain travel.
What?
Yeah, that's what.
Let me see the rule because I got to see this.
That's
right here.
what the explanation says.
All suspension mounts and mounting hardware. Okay.
So I'm not. I don't know.
Well, they're going to appeal it. Good luck to them.
Yeah.
But that's a bummer because
I couldn't really get anything out of that. I'm not sure.
Because before that point, all 3 junior motorsports cars would have finished in the top 10 with Allgaier winning, Barry second, Gregson fourth, and Arnett 6th.
Josh Berry's having a great run, by the way.
He really is. He's developing well. I had my doubts about him, but then he won Martinsville, and now he's just okay. He's starting to kind of, flex his muscles a little bit. That's the only piece of news I had, or you had, really, because I couldn't really find anything.
Yeah.
Folks, we're going to take a quick second here and break from the show and remind everybody out there about In the Marbles online store at Teespring. There you can find all of your In the Marbles gear that you need, such as t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and much more. Show everybody out there, whether it's at the NASCAR races or the local short tracks, that you are a fan and avid listener of In the Marbles. All purchases will help In the Marbles bring you more content in the future. If you just head over to inthemarbles.net under the merch tab, there you will find the link to Teespring, or you can head over to teespring.com/stores/in-the-marbles, and there you will find our online store. And during the month of May, if you use code LUGNUT, it will take 20% off your order. So remember, head over to inthemarbles.net under the merch tab, there you will find the link, or teespring.com/stores/in-the-marbles. Again, 20% off if you use code LUGNUT for your entire purchase till the end of May. Now getting into our weekend review here. Short track racing we're going to start off with. Instead of Formula 1, we all know what happened with Formula 1. That's going to be a quick one.
Yeah.
But short track racing, got a news story here. Not really news, but just an update here from the South Alabama Speedway, more specifically the Cuplite division, in which our friend of the show, Charlie Herkus, races in. And for those of you who don't know, Charlie's been on the show a number of times, both as a special guest, as an interviewee in episode 3, I believe. So go back, listen to those episodes. The quality isn't the best on episode 3, but you get the gist of it. It's a fun episode, good guy, one of my best friends. But he was in the Cuplite race on Saturday, hence the reason why he couldn't come to Darlington with us on Sunday. Mm-hmm. They redid the schedule. Well, Charlie did some stuff to his car, transmission-wise, front-end-wise, and he was having a great run. Even led a lap. He passed the leader, and the leader passed him back. I think it was the 4 car. I couldn't find the name of the driver of the 4 car. But then he was running in second, and this driver, the number 94, Jason Fowler, was racing. Jason Fowler just totally took Charlie Herkus out. I mean, just right in there in the turn 1 and 2, just bloop, turned him around.
So was it like a Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick incident at one time?
No, it was just a straight up dump.
Well, that's what Kyle Busch did.
That's what Kyle Busch did
with Harvick. He dumped him.
He dumped him straight up, and Charlie DNF'd due to a rear end gear issue.
Oh.
Because he wasn't on the track and said what happened, rear end gear slipped and couldn't finish. Well, fast forward a few laps later, in the 3 car of Adam Salter, and keep in mind that where you're watching these, it's a person holding a cell phone, it looks like, doing a live video for YouTube or Facebook. All of a sudden, all the fans point. And you know what that means when everybody points. I mean, when it's just one person, it's kind of annoying because you're like, what happened? But when it's everybody, something happened, and the 3 car of Adam Salter is on his roof.
Oh.
I don't know what happened. I haven't seen any video yet of what caused that accident.
Will you ever seen the video? Probably not.
But according to Charlie, and I got the text message right here with Charlie, I asked him, is the 3 car okay? He said, yeah, apparently the 94 got into him as well.
Okay, then.
But driver's okay. Again, Adam is okay.
This 94 guy is making a lot of enemies.
He didn't. But it gets better because karma comes back and bites a lot of us in the butt, and it bit Fowler in the butt when the 4 car, they were racing hard. You could tell the 4 car was the class of the field. He was the Truex of the field. But the 94 car was probably the Larson of the field. He was up there. He was running well. And he caught him, passed him. The 4 car wasn't having that. Again, I can't find the 4 driver's name. If you know it out there, let me know. And took out the 94. But he did a 360, kept going, race stayed green. That was with a lap or two to go. The 4 car wins. After the checkered flag falls, the 94 Fowler comes up and gives the 4 a little boop in the rear. It's like, oh boy, this is what I love about short track racing. If you want to get into NASCAR, that's great. Go to your local short tracks if you want to see the raw, unemotional, unfiltered definition of what a good race is. Because if I rated that race, it would probably be contender for race of the weekend.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
Afterwards, the teams get together there in the victory lane. And the victory lane set up where the top 3 cars, kind of like a podium finish, first, second, third, are on the front stretch. The 4 driver gets out, the 94 gets out, and then you start seeing these people just start kind of...
Yeah, you see like the group happening.
You see the group happening, and then you start seeing the wave.
The pushing and shoving.
The cops get there, break it up. It was crazy. But then it was so funny, too, because I forgot the name of where it's going through, the live video is going through, but there was this guy talking, and it's just truest Alabama form. This was... Because he said, something like that happened to me once where this guy took an air gun and I was standing right there and all of a sudden all hell broke loose and I don't even know what happened. I knew they were right there. He just went on his own story about a similar incident that happened during the race. But that happened, and I'll make sure to start sharing that a lot more and follow their pages and share their stuff because that's a lot of fun. If you want,
that's funny how
they race not just Cuplites but late models, street stocks,
right?
But it's just local short track racing, and it's cool that people and we have the technology to live race and live stream all this stuff and show it on Facebook and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
That's funny though. That whole just that guy out of nowhere. Yeah. Oh yeah, that happened to me one time.
Yeah, and you can hear it in the background through that whole commotion right there. He's telling his story, which is more interesting than the fight going on right now.
Jeez.
It was way more interesting. So much fun. Going on to Formula One, going to the big dogs now. Lewis Hamilton, 98th career win. You kind of spoiled that when I was in line for the tickets.
I'm sorry.
Or at Matt DiBenedetto's hauler.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Well, you didn't. Don't worry because you said. Won't bet you won't guess who won the Formula One race.
Yeah, I wanted to get on Facebook for a second that morning because I wanted to look at something, and then that's like one of the first things that comes up, and I was just like,
well, the race itself, I watched the race, and Verstappen was dominating.
Yeah, I heard he was.
Lewis Hamilton had an extra pit stop. They had a strategy where he put in one extra pit stop, and that gave him the fresher tires.
And he went with the 2-stop,
and with 10 laps to go.
He went for the undercut.
Passed Verstappen.
He was doing the undercut.
And he drove away from him. And, of course, when that happened, it's fast forward.
Yeah, the old threat of the undercut.
But I gave that overall race a 4. It wasn't very exciting. I mean, even with 10 laps to go, they're not racing wheel to wheel for those laps. And once...
I think I saw the video of Hamilton making the pass on Verstappen, and it looked like just flawless.
Yeah, it was. It was right on the outside of going into turn 1, and
he just flew right by him.
He was gone.
See ya.
Yeah, 100% gone. I give the Formula One race a 4. Call me biased, but that's what I gave it. Truck race, Crash Fest.
Yeah,
It was what Jordan, Josh, and who's the other one? Austin wanted to see in the Cup race.
Yeah,
they wanted to see that crazy chaos and destruction during the Cup race. Unfortunately for them, the Cup race was a little more tamer than that, but the truck race was a fun race to watch. I thought either John Hunter Nemechek or Ben Rhodes would have gone in it. Cautions fell right for Sheldon Creed, who claimed a 6th career victory, first in 2021 at the Lift Kits for Less.com 200 at Darlington. Big crash causing a multi-truck wreck.
I think it was a total of like 20 trucks.
Bringing out the red flag for 12 minutes.
That restart was just wild to even watch. When it happened, when I was watching it live, I gotten home. I was recording it, but I had gotten home, and I think I was catching the second half of it. So I watched it from like the second half of the race on. And when I saw it live, I was just like, did somebody just forget to, what happened?
Somebody forgot to do something. But I tell you, that was a crazy race, and congratulations, Sheldon Creed. He only led 7 laps. But he led the 7 that counted. That's all that matters.
That's right. He led the most important one.
He led the most important one. And notable finishers from that race, Timmy Hill started 26th, finished 7th.
Good for him.
Probably due to a lot of cars being taken out and being uncompetitive there. But still, he kept the finish on the truck. Finished 7th. Came home 7th.
Yeah,
Very nice.
like they said, you have to race the racetrack at Darlington usually. Yep. So if your competitors are taking themselves out, that's good. Just as long as you're focusing on taking care of your
Don't
car.
Hit the wall and everything. How would you rate the truck race? First, how would you rate the Formula One race? Did you even
5. Yeah, okay, I caught. 5. Yeah, I mean, it was just like you said. When you know that Lewis Hamilton's won, it's just like you just kind of go back and watch the start.
I don't need to see how he won.
Yeah, you try to catch what you can.
Whatever.
Truck race, I'd give it a solid 8. I think I always enjoyed. Like I said, I enjoyed truck racing, and you couple that together with Darlington and at night at the same time.
Oh, that's a recipe for success. I rated the truck race a 7. Just a heads up, if you're a regular on the show, you're used to hearing us say memorability, excitement overall. No, we're just going to do overall rating of the truck race or of any race 1 through 10,
and then we could you could give like an opinion or two or something.
And then you could go into depth a little, but overall 7. It was a good overall race to watch, a lot of fun. Now we go to the Xfinity race. The Xfinity race, I didn't really catch all of it. I caught the end of it in the highlights, but I went out. That was the day, and I mentioned it on the race day show, but I didn't mention it on here. I met Mike from Blind Spotting NASCAR podcast. Him and his family were down doing. His son's doing youth baseball, and he was down. He invited me out to dinner and met him and his family. Great group of people and great meeting them. If you listen to the race day show on the Unhinged Sports Network, we do 5 off, 5 on with Blind Spotting NASCAR podcast, and Mike is the kind of the head honcho there. He's the equivalent to me here in the Marvels. I hate to say
meeting of the minds.
Yeah, the meetings of the minds. And it was a great time meeting them, and they bought me dinner. I bought them a few drinks and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Really good group, really good guy, and hope to see him again in the future. Hope he made it home safe. But the Xfinity race, Allgaier, again, not leading an extraordinary amount of laps. 148 laps ran. I'm so excited still from Darlington. I'm still... Of the 148 laps ran at Darlington for the Xfinity race, 10 of them were led by Justin Allgaier. Again, you don't need to lead them all.
Nope. No, you don't.
Just need to lead the ones that matter. And that was his second win of 2021. Again, Noah Gragson looked like he was going to bring home a solid top 5, good average finish for Junior Motorsports, but got DQ'd. They're appealing that. I don't know if they're going to win it. They might as well go down swinging. Notable finishers, though. Josh Berry finishing 2nd.
I'm telling you,
hinted
that
on
guy,
him later, but he started 24th.
Yeah.
And finished 2nd as a rookie at Darlington, a track notorious for veterans.
Yes.
Josh Berry finishes 2nd.
Good for him.
3 out of the 4 Junior Motorsports cars running in the top 10. It's great to see that. Doing it overall. And they're doing overall well this season. And how would you rate the Xfinity race?
I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 7 as well. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst race. But then we get to the big show. We get to the big show, and that is the Goodyear 400. And like I said, at the top of the show, when we got there, it was just a lot of fun, a lot of moving parts. And once we got there into the track and the cars were going by, it was just business as usual. Watch the race. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people say that wasn't a good race.
Well, I wonder if those people that say that were the ones that were watching on TV or not.
And I'm thinking they are, because at the race, yeah, it was kind of, I wish I could have seen, because Larson gave him a run there for his money there with maybe 20 to go. And that was it. That was the only challenge for the lead I think Truex had all day, was there at the end.
Yeah.
And of course I was looking everywhere saying, when's the caution going to come out?
Yeah, it seemed like it was
building up to that point where it's like, is there going to be a caution?
We had a lot of
debris?
Long green flag runs.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Only 2 accidents, both involving Stuart Haas Motorsports and Eric Almirola and
3.
Cole Custers. Oh, and Kyle Busch.
Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch, and then the Kyle Busch spin.
Yes, the Kyle Busch spin as well, yeah.
As the leader, and then the stage caution. So, what, that's 3, 4?
I think it was 6 altogether.
6 cautions altogether, which isn't like... bad.
It's not,
when you're there, it's not bad. I don't like cautions when I'm at the racetrack. I feel like it slows everything down, and the most exciting part of the cautions at that point are the pit stops.
Yeah. And
once those are done, it's, okay, well, now we're just waiting for everything to get cleaned up so we could get going back to racing. Cautions don't really do it for me, especially when I'm at the track. When I'm at home, okay, now I could quickly do something, clean out the dishwasher or something like that, and call it a day. But at the track, I do like those long green flag runs where it's just... you hear the cars the whole time.
It's kind of like, you could almost kind of compare it as like, it's kind of like status quo, which was kind of odd because it was a high horsepower, low downforce package, but everybody seemed to, aside from the Darlington stripes here and there, guys getting into the walls, it seemed to be a fairly clean race. Those 3 of those accidents were all basically a couple laps after restarts. You're talking about the field getting bunched up, coming off of turn 2 especially. That's a dangerous area. I mean, guys are...
A few tires went down here and there, but nothing...
I enjoy that, and that's one thing why I don't like stage racing. I enjoy just long green flag runs because it can help the strategy play out. Just imagine if Kyle Larson, if we would have just had green flag runs instead of stage breaks, I think Kyle Larson would have somehow ran down Truex at some point.
Well, I also think, and I thought about this today, we raced a 400-lap race at Darlington, which they did last year due to the pandemic and then NASCAR readjusting the schedule. But this is the first time I've been to a Darlington race where it was 400 miles. And not 500 miles.
I enjoy the 293-lap race.
It was a good 293-lap race, but maybe, 50, 60 less than the 300-mile race? Or
it's about 70,
About 70 laps less. But had there been that 70 laps, there would have been 1 or 2 extra pit stops.
Yep.
Kyle Larson could have adjusted it perfectly because even Truex said he didn't have the best handling car.
No, he did not.
Somehow he held on to that. So I think with 100 extra more miles, this is where I want to say short racing is fine because you get a little more excitement, but that kind of was debunked yesterday at Darlington. Whereas if you have a longer race, that extra 100 miles, Larson, Kyle Busch, maybe William Byron could have tuned their cars up just right because Truex wasn't making any adjustments all day, whereas everybody else was keeping up with the changes of the racetrack.
Yeah.
What if we had another 100 miles, ergo the Southern 500 coming up here in September? You can't run one setup the whole time. You got to keep up with the track adjustments and the track. I think it would have been more exciting watching the 500-mile race at that point than it would have been the 400.
Yeah, and you're right. Truex did not have the best car, and I think also going back to what people on social media say about, it's not that good of a race. I think those people are the people that watched at home because, when you watch a broadcast, usually they're focusing on just like the top 5. So, of course, there's no battle going on through the top 5, maybe for 3rd and 4th. But, like I told you before the show, Maple sent me a tweet, and it was that there were more green flag passes yesterday in yesterday's race, the Cup race, than the last 14 Cup Series events at Darlington, 12 of them which were the 500-mile race. 2,939 green flag passes, all for positions.
That is crazy.
A lot of it was happening from that 5th to about 25th on back. Even if guys were a lap down, there was still a lot of passing going on.
Right.
You just don't see that when you're watching on TV. And I think that's why a lot of people watching at home were like, it wasn't that great of a race. Yeah, because Fox is only showing you the top 5. That's all they care about is just the leader. But if you're not paying attention, I didn't pay attention to Truex until 30 to go when Larson was closing in on him.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was just, it's cool to see. And I thought the package was great. And I'll be biased here. I think turn 1 is one of the greatest places to sit for a race.
I look at that and I say yes and no. I like to exit at turn 4. I get to see them do stuff. I wish there was stands on the backstretch looking off of turn 2 because I think those would be good seats, like high up, kind of like where we are. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen because the museum's there and
it was just it was nice because we had the day racing, and when you sit in turn 1, especially where we were, you see the cars coming down, and it's right where they cut down off of that track onto the apron where they'll cut down and they sweep back up. It's one of the coolest sights to see. And you can see as the green flag runs would go on, the tires start to wear out, and you could see the cars wiggling back and forth. You could see the guys sliding into one, and you can tell that they're working that wheel in there, and it's just one of the coolest sights to see.
And I talked to this guy in turn 1 up there at the top of in the stands named Buck. Mm-hmm. And I said, "How long have you been coming here?" He said, "Since before you were born." I said, "I believe you." He said, "In the early '80s, he's been coming here to Darlington." So I'm sure he has a lot of stories if he's listening. Hey, Buck. But he said turn 1's the place to be during the 500-mile race, and turn 3 and 4, where we sit during the 500 race, is the best for the day race, the spring race.
Oh, okay.
Because you're out of the sun, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Whereas turn one, or for the 500 miles, you see the sunset and everything like that. But yeah, it was a good overall race. I enjoyed it immensely. Martin Trux scored his 3rd win of the year, 30th overall. 248 of the 293 laps led. That guy was on a rail.
He was, and you know,
he was very impressive to watch.
And a lot of people could probably say, "Oh, it was a clean air." No, there's no clean air at Darlington. Maybe on the restart, but once everything starts to get filed out, and you have to battle lap cars all day long, and
you got to make sure not to take yourself out or give yourself.
Truex he's a veteran at this time, and yes, the track is for veterans, but it's also, you're not only racing that track, but you have to be racing those lap cars, and you have to know when you're going to have that chance to pass those lap cars,
right,
and to save those tires. He did a very good job of it all day long.
Yeah, noticeable finishers. Chase Briscoe finishing 11th, good run for him, and Chris Buescher back on my list, finishing 9th. Both Roush Fenway Motorsports vehicles finishing in the top 10. Points after Darlington, no surprise here. Martin Trux Jr. in the lead now. No really changes to the top 16. Matt DiBenedetto dropped a little bit, but Tyler Reddick moving on up. Stenhouse moving on up. Chris Buescher starting to rear his head into that top 20.
I thought Tyler Reddick looked pretty good yesterday. Oh, and you know, remember the strategy with Ross Chastain? That came back to bite him in the butt when they tried to go all the way that long run.
He tried, man.
You can't blame him for trying, but man, that really shows the difference in what tires will really do at Darlington.
It was. I didn't see 1-2 tire stop, not one.
And people, you know, they talked about it on the radio, and we talked about it in the car on the way home too. And Brandon said, "Did you notice how it looked like they were going so like in slow motion as the run went on?" And I said, "Yeah,
well, that's one of the characters. Every track has their own characteristic, and if you ever been to Darlington or ever want to go to Darlington, you're going to notice that.
Yeah,
you're going to notice with fresh tires, they're blazing.
But the tire fall off is astronomical.
Give it 10 laps, and then all of a sudden the race slows down to the point where
you can tell.
Wow,
it looks like they're moving in slow motion.
You know, you kind of hope for something to happen, somebody to spin out. It's like reset, re-rack, put new tires on, and go. Yeah, man. After a while there at Darlington, if you're not used to it, or if you are used to it, it kind of does drag on.
Yeah, but it's just, when you're watching those cars go by, and you're like, man, it looks like they're getting slower. Yeah, because the lap times have dropped off 3 and 4 seconds. 3 and 4
seconds, yeah. But overall, I gave it a 9, only because I was there, and it was a great race. It was good being there. It's going to be nice having another car in here besides a Harvick or Hamlin. I think that was the first one since Chase Elliott that I've seen win, and it's the first time I've seen Martin Trux Jr. win.
I think I've seen Martin Trux win before in person, too. That might have been my second time seeing him win before, but
that was my first time.
That was a heck of a drive by him for sure.
Very good. Overall, 9 for me. What about you?
I give it a 9. I mean, it was nice to be back at the track. You know, looking back on it, even though we didn't have much time during the day, that's fine because when I was there to see racing, and it was just nice to. It's always nice to get that build up as you're walking into the track, and you're just like, oh man, I can't wait. And then you come right out into the stands, and there it is, the track, and you're just like, oh,
yep,
finally.
When they go by for their parade laps, it's nice.
Yeah.
Upcoming races for the Cups, for Formula One, no Formula One race until Monaco, I believe, up in here in the next couple of weeks. The Cup race will be racing at Dover Sunday, May 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1. Xfinity Saturday, May 15th, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FS1. And IndyCar Grand Prix of Indianapolis, the GMR Grand Prix, I should say, on the road course at Indianapolis. Saturday, May 15th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC. Can't wait for those races. Dover is always a hit or miss track, but it's a fun track to watch.
Yeah, I love Dover. I think it's a great track.
And you thought of this. We're going to have a quick debate here. Who will be the first to win in the Cup Series in 2021 out of Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, or Denny Hamlin?
Yeah, these 3 drivers who dominated 2020 last season.
They did. 2022 is a new season. Once that calendar flips from December to January, who cares about 2020?
Well, it's crazy that I think I added it up, these 3 drivers had a combined total 22 of the 36 races last year.
All but 10 races, somebody else won in their spot, which is okay. Those 3 dominated. Right now, it isn't the Harvick, Hamlin, or Elliott show. Not. It is the drivers up there. Martin Truex is starting to really put his name into the hat for a championship consideration. Denny Hamlin's running very consistently. He's second in the points right now. He's 11th in the points right now as they stand behind the
guys that have wins. Yeah.
Denny Hamlin setting 11th in the points right now, as we said. Kevin Harvick running 12th in the points as they stand with the playoff format going on here. And Chase Elliott running 13th. They're not having a bad season.
No.
They're running consistent. They're doing what they need to do. I don't think any of them, besides I think Hamlin, 1 or 2 races, has a DNF. Each of them is running their own race. They don't have the wins. But here's the problem here. The expectations there are so high. Like, I'm not a fan of any other sport, really, but NASCAR. But I used to be a really big fan of Alabama Crimson Tide football. Like, I would watch that religiously. Now I watch Alabama Crimson Tide football after I'm done with the NASCAR season. Then I'll start watching Alabama. But there came a point there where I think the quarterback's name was Croker a few number of years ago. And he would throw these interceptions all the time. And I would get so mad. I would get so mad over something I'm not, for one, in control of. Mm-hmm. And two, just something just so mediocre. But people get upset with sports all the time. That's what happens. It's fan base. So, but you're looking at, and I would call him Croker the Choker. This guy stinks. Oh, no. And then when our field goal kicker would come out, I'd be like, here we go. We're going to miss this one. And sure enough, we'd miss. And I was just so upset with that. But when he made it, I was his biggest fan. Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick are in that position right now where they're running well. They're not struggling this year. It isn't like the rest of Stewart-Haas where Kevin Harvick's wrecking it almost every weekend, not running in the top 10, not running top 5. He's leading laps. He's finished consistently top 10, top 5s. Same way with Hamlin and Elliott. I can tell you, give you an idea who out of the 3 in the upcoming races with Dover, Circuit of the Americas, and Charlotte, who has the best chance of winning. But I can't tell you, this driver's going to win at this race. I've tried that before. I tried that in fantasy. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
They're not having a bad year. And if people and fans of theirs were going to defend them, but people on the outside looking in are going to say, they're not having a good season because they're not running 1-2, 1-2, and then switching the lead and winning every other weekend like we saw. And to be honest with you, I don't want to see a driver dominate like that. And it's kind of lean more to the Formula One side. It's like, I don't want to see Kevin Harvick win every race.
I think we're just accustomed from last season how all 3 of these drivers pretty much dominated, and then we get to this season, and we're just all surprised that none of these 3 drivers have gotten a win yet. Which Kevin Harvick, I mean, they like you said, they've all run consistently. Kevin Harvick looked like he was kind of struggling at the start of the year, but Hamlin, who has led a ton of laps this season and has yet to score a victory, which is, I think it's just kind of bad luck and bad timing. He's doing good, but they haven't been able to close it out.
Laps, but like you said, he hasn't been able to close it out.
I think it's gonna. Out of those 3, I think Hamlin will still be the one to get the first victory out of all those. 3.
Just for the sake of argument and just to go against you, I think Harvick's going to be the one winning it first. Elliott, good driver. He's developing well. I don't think with the championship format like it was, he would have won the championship if it was regular points playing format. That's neither here or there. He's a champion. It's over. It's done. I think Hamlin. Wait, you said Hamlin.
Yeah, I said Hamlin.
I think Harvick. The other H.
The other H, yes.
I think Harvick. Let us know who you think will win. Social media links down below if you're on YouTube. We'll tell you the links to him at the end of the show. But do you have anything else?
Nope. I don't know.
Okay. Before we wrap up today's show, I wanted to take a moment to remind everybody out there in the Marbles Nation about our partnership with Fanatics. Fanatics is a proud partner of the Unhinged Sports Network, which we here at In the Marbles are the voice of racing. If you head over to inthemarbles.net under the Partners tab, there you will find the link to Fanatics, and it'll take you right to their NASCAR store, where you can find all your favorite drivers' hats, t-shirts, diecast, and more. But you don't have to just stop there. I buy all my Alabama Crimson Tide gear there, and Preston buys all his South Carolina Gamecock gear there as well. All purchases help out the Unhinged Sports Network, bringing you the best sports coverage 24/7 at unhingedsn.com. Make sure to head over to the Unhinged Sports Network to listen to your favorite shows, not just In the Marbles, but all your sports podcast needs, such as football, basketball, hockey, and yes, racing. That's unhingedsn.com.
White flag. 1 lap to go. 1 lap right here.
Final thoughts here on In the Marbles, post Darlington. If this is your first time listening to the show. Welcome. Make sure to subscribe to us and follow us on all social media platforms for the latest and greatest from the world of In the Marbles, in the world of auto racing. Preston, first and foremost, what was your race of the weekend?
Yes, the Cup race.
It would be for me.
It has to be because you were there.
Yeah, it had to be.
It was great. It was nice to get to hang out with a group of people, those that were at their first race, and then of course I think we might have met one or two other people just walking around. Yeah, you gave out business cards. I can't remember the one lady that we met. I can't remember her name, but she was like, "Hey, I'm from Somerville too."
Well, here's my card.
Well, here you go.
Maybe I'll run into you. But it was great meeting everybody. We'll have a better setup, and I promise come September
next time
for the Sun 500.
We'll have a whole day to do things.
We'll front load everything.
When you got to crunch everything into like 2 hours, it just does not work.
I still can't believe Darlington does that. I still can't believe we're at the point now. Nobody in NASCAR, and I think I can speak for every NASCAR fan. I can speak for maybe 98% of them saying nobody social distanced, no one cared, no one wore a face covering.
It was so funny that nobody was wearing one, and then it was like you have to have a mask on as you enter the gate, and as everybody would enter the gate, they would take it right back off. So it just doesn't matter.
It made no sense whatsoever. Everybody's done with this bull crap. It's done. Let it go. It's over. Agree with me or not. Everybody's sick of this, but it's over with. It's done. Anyway, whatever. In the Marvel 2.0 standings for that $100 Amazon gift card at the end of the year, got a new leader.
Yep, and I got the text message from the leader last night.
SMR R&D are defending In the Marbles 2.0 champion, is taking the lead now at 2,200 points over Matt Camper. Only a 10-point difference going into Dover.
And I'm like 50 points back, I think.
Yeah, you're about
47.
47 points back. You're 47 points back in third. I'm in fourth. A couple about 145 off.
Yeah, you did good picking the team winning yesterday.
I got great bonuses.
Yeah.
But I didn't do so hot in my original lineup. I didn't do so hot in there. S-Blade still in fifth, 43 and me sixth. Unhinged Racing seventh, Truck 8384 eighth, Smoking Woody ninth, Summers Racing 10th, Bun 3 11th, and Shake and Bake 12th. I don't think Shake and Bake's playing anymore.
I think what really disrupted things for me was I had Brad Keselowski in my lineup, and boy did he go backwards fast.
I had Keselowski in my lineup too.
I think that really messed everything up for me.
Yeah, it did, and that's unfortunate. I wish he would have done better, but oh well. Yeah, can't win them all, I guess. But our driver of the week this week here in the Marbles is Bill Blair, born July 14th, 1911, and died November 2nd, 1995 at the age of 84. Raced 123 races over 10 years in the Cup Series. His first race was race number 1 in 1949 in Charlotte. Last race was in 1958 Lakewood Speedway, Atlanta. That's it. It's just Lakewood Speedway in Atlanta.
Okay.
First win came at the Vernon Fairgrounds in Vernon, New York, and his last win at the 1953 Daytona Beach Course. Ooh. 3 wins, 54 top 10s, and 1 pole throughout the course of his 10-year career in the NASCAR Cup Series. And this week in NASCAR, Preston, since you found it, I'm going to give you the privilege to read it.
Sure. May 10th, 1997, Mark Martin prevails in the non-stop Winston 500 at Talladega Superspeedway and holds off Dale Earnhardt to win in record time. Mark Martin averaging a staggering 188.354 miles per hour in the caution-free event. That was what really caught my eye, a caution-free event at Talladega.
And there's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with cautions. At Talladega, I've seen a few of them, not in person, but on TV, where it was just so amazing that it was caution-free racing. And it happens from time to time. It happened from time to time when, without the stage racing going in there, don't bring it up, don't go into it. I know your views on stage racing, so it's everybody else.
Oh, no, I'm not. But
oh, by the way, I got a lot of comments about your rant.
Good or bad?
They agreed with you for the most part.
How many comments?
Michael from Blind Spotting agreed with you.
Uh-huh.
Charlie agreed with you.
Mm-hmm.
A guy, one of our fans on Twitter named Michael agreed with you. So a lot of people agreed with you, but Charlie also said to me that don't compare anything to the dominance of Alabama Crimson Tide. Charlie, I'm sorry about that.
So, real quick, did you check your Twitter notifications?
No.
For In the Marbles? Because a certain somebody quoted a tweet that you put out.
Who's that?
Dave Moody.
Oh, I did tag him in there.
He did. And I just got a notification about it, but I think he did. He did quote, "You bet, a view that money can't buy."
Yeah,
with the picture that you took of him.
I got a picture
That's
of
pretty
him up
good.
there.
Dave Moody,
I saw
man.
him, yeah, right.
Yeah, how about that? That's awesome.
We're talking about them.
Yeah, Dave Moody. Yeah, what a great guy.
Hey, well, it's actually, I'll tell you after the show. It was a great race. My camera got right up to him. He was a bit far away, but I zoomed in on him.
Was he? He was over there in one, right?
He was turned one. I thought I saw him, so I didn't know who it was at first, but then I saw his tweet with the bag. It's like, oh, I know exactly where that.
Dave
Moody. I got him. I got him.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you get your name out there.
Yeah.
That's how you get your name out there.
In the marbles.
It's going to be big one day. It's going to be huge. Anyway, Preston, anything else before we wrap up our 86?
Yes, 86 now.
So we got to do something big for our 100th.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, this has been it's a lot of fun. And, we're slowly getting it out there. I think the next.
I got some tricks up my sleeve.
Whenever races we go to in person,
I'm going to Ray Everham it, and we're going to push ourselves up to the front.
Yeah,
or Jack and House, one of the two.
Yeah, like I said, it was so funny. So we could tell the people when we got to where my brother and all them were, and they were like, "Yeah, this is Matt, this is Preston, his buddy Matt. Yeah, they're the ones that do the podcast." And everybody was just like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, hey." Cards,
yep.
and the marbles, So I wish that we would have maybe met some more people, but like I said, it was just so hard.
The time constraint
was just awful,
just off. Well, we're gonna get the flags up. Don't worry,
we'll get it. We'll get it down for September for sure. Because once Darlington said full capacity, I'm gonna assume that gates will be open early in the morning for a 7:30 race at night. And we will have all day to do a lot of stuff.
We can walk around all day. We'll get our ducks in a row. But Preston, anything else before we wrap it up here?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here for this 86th episode of In the Marbles. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into us this week. Make sure to follow In the Marbles on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, handles are right down there at the bottom of the screen. Or just head over to inthemarbles.net for links to everything, links to our podcast, merch, partners, everybody associated with In the Marbles is on there. Thank you to the partners again, Dr. Squash, Flag and Anthem, Stand Up to Cancer, Fubo, and Fanatics for everything they do for the show. For Preston Lude, I'm Matt Beamer. Thank you so much again for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Hey race fans, want more In the Marbles content? Make sure to subscribe below and check out our videos over here.